Hey, how's it going? It's me, Vicidus. I look kind of different today. I look a little more in that flow and control. So, I'm gonna tell you guys something, okay? I'm a. How should I say this? I don't know how to explain this closely in that sense, but I'll tell you this, okay? As an artist, I think of myself as someone that creates the art, but I don't see myself as someone that thinks of themselves as the highest. Because here's the thing though, I create the art in that sense, but I don't think of myself as the best. If I had thought of myself as the best, I wouldn't really be improving. Internal learning increases your growth as you develop it non-stop in that sense. Because I'm gonna be perfectly honest, thinking yourself with some kind of complex of the highest or someone at the strongest and highest, for me, I see that to act like that, it's just a toxic ego that essentially ruins or sours any situation or any good mood of conversation. That's why I hate it, because it just hurts the soul in that sense. So I'm about to show you my character. So you saw what happened on the base mesh that I've created for the buff guy, right? I'm about to show you what you can do with that character in that sense. In this application known as Blender. We're gonna click on it, alright? You see this? This is what it looks like, or this is what it technically looks like, right? So we're gonna turn this off. This is what it looks like, right? This is what it looks like when you sculpt it in that sense. You see, I already dabbled a little bit of it and showed some of the concepts that you can use when you create this base mesh in that sense. What I did was more of an intricate flow set of actually making muscles using spheres. So, does this make me a advanced artist? That's subjective. You know why it's subjective? Because advanced, intermediate, skilled, all that is dependent on what we see and what we do as art in that sense. People may think that my art might be basic compared to what they do. Or some who are very new to it might see it as so advanced in that sense. It's the leveling how you see it, how you create that art that may vary what you're creating in that sense. What I'm trying to say is that I don't see myself as the best of the best, and I know I'm not that good. I want to be dead honest. I do this because I love doing it. I don't want myself to be stuck up with fame or things like that when it ruins the taste of art itself. It's kind of like someone using AI to make all of this just to make money and products. It's all slop. Do you see that? That's why I like to create art with that sophistication and also having that feeling of like flaws. Because every art piece that you see, if it's AI based, there's no technical flaws or it's all slop, as in same, or it's just so fake in that sense. Where's the meaning behind it in that sense, as you can tell? This is why my art actually has some flaws to it. Very distinct ones too, but I deliberately do those flaws to show my art skills and artistic creative flow sets whenever I do so. But in the future, AI might be used for other things. What I perceive may be different from what you guys perceive in the future as well, or in this current moment. See how I create these kind of art pieces? I do these things because I want to learn. I don't want to be stuck at one point all the time. I effing hate that. I want to learn things and grow in that kind of skill set, teaching myself more things. Like for example, you see, I made the muscles like that. Originally, it was all just extrusions, or just moving the body parts in the end. What I'm trying to teach you guys in the end is that when you do an art skill or any kind of skill that you want to invest yourself into, if you think yourself as the highest at first, that's your ego controlling you back. You can't see yourself if you think yourself is the best in the arts. When you're so stuck up with your own ego, who could blame you for not even knowing what you know? Hence blindness in that sense. And a blind person wouldn't think themselves as blind. Hence, I'll say this. I could be wrong in other contexts in constructions in the arts. It's all varied depending on who you see and who teaches you these things in due time. So, you see what I'm doing here? Switching the topic again. You see how I'm creating the muscles like this? When you plan your work pretty well, you start to gain some form of understanding on what true art is. Because part of art is that you're going to have to struggle with your art skills, your practice, your emotional flow, what you're hiding, what you're telling the truth in your art, all kinds of things because it's an art form. It expresses who you are as a person. Even the truths, even the flaws, and even the lies themselves too. That's how art is. Art is not meant to be easy to do. It never had been. If you focus on your work and you focus on creating it to a distinct level, you can reach it. It's possible. But you have to find out within yourself what you really want. If you're doing it for the fame, that's the wrong mindset. But if you do it just for the craft of loving up doing it in the end, then you're gonna have a fun time doing it. And then you're gonna start smiling for a bit, realizing that the art that you created that you can be proud of. Fame, popularity, all that is just a byproduct of what we show to the world. But that's not our tool. That's not our crutch or catalyst to create many things. Our stories are not bound towards one single notoriety or credibility. Things change. They can't be stuck the same in that sense. Let this character, for example. See how moody he is? It shows realness to it. If you want to be real to what you create and craft, part of that teaches you that if you're doing it for the money or playing it fake, or just not being truly authentic, then who are you to begin with? It's a mask, nonetheless. Was I ever you to begin with in that the design's full? But that's me being subjective. Your objection could work. You could be subjected to what you do. You are entitled to your opinion. But like all opinions in the end, it could also get challenged. As you can tell, I create my art with some sophistication, but I also tell a true reason behind that art piece itself in that sense. I don't waste my time. I keep learning many, many new things as I gain a better understanding of it in nature too. See, I'm changing the face here like that too. Let's see, like just like that. Hmm. Let's see there. There we go. You see, everything takes time. Even skill, nonetheless, too. You think a skill is easy to do? You think all this could be done in one click? Well, you see, I'm subjective by saying that, and you could also prove me wrong for anyone viewing this because AI, right? AI can do all of this in one single swipe, one single click. Boom, it's magic, right? Which is why I try and challenge that. I challenge that because I do this kind of work with pure craft and hard work. Imagine trying to go to a game corporation or a game studio. You try and go there, right? You show all your AI art that you've designed. You try and get in, right? And you might actually be able to get in that sense. What's going to happen when you go into their fields to do all the art tests? What's going to happen when you're being tested by your pure hand skills, sketching, rendering, design? What's going to happen? When you can't prove it, then they'll know that you're actually making it not what it seems. Hence, it could be falsified. This is what happens when you resort to using AI. And what can happen with AI is that you will lose most of your muscle skills when you draw, and your overall skill will change nonetheless. The smart people will use AI as a tool to enhance and practice themselves with creative better arts. Bad people or very dumb people or very questionable people will use that to make products or do a lot of tricks that you have to see in that sense. If I see by me doing all of this in general, and me doing all this creative workflow, then you'll probably know that yeah, there's a real human being doing all this work all by himself. And it works pretty well too. It's really fun to do. Is it easy? No, it's not. Heck no. It is hard as fire. Hard to handle, hard as iron too. You think it's heavy? Probably it is. Is this kind of work kind of heavy to deal with sometimes? Yeah. Because if you don't know your skills, you gotta practice multiple times. Nothing comes easy in the end. Once you accept that as truth, you can start practicing and learn more about your craft and skills in that nature, in that sense. Now we're gonna do this here. Now we're gonna do this here. Alright, slowly doing it. That's good. Check this out. Now we're going to use the move tool. Now I'm going to test this out. You see how I'm going to do it? I'm going to do this here. And I'm going to go here. Go here. Do this here. Do this there. But now it actually has a real chin. You see that? Things can change. Things don't stay the same as I'm doing this kind of art as well too. Now you guys know nonetheless. Now check this out. You see how I'm fixing this up too? I'm currently fixing all those things. We put these things here. And I want to make this a little longer here. You see that? This is the art of doing topology. When you already built your base mesh like that, it's not always going to be complete all the time. In fact, you're going to be forced to actually do some very topology-like things to create the art of simplicity in that sense. You see how I'm doing it? Just like that. You see that? Now I'll do it for here too. You see that? slowly shaping the model one step at a time. Just like that. You see that? I'm doing one step at a time. And there, I can essentially create the illusion of detail via these kind of skills. And you see what I'm doing here? Well, not really illusion. It's more like the sophistication of practicing this form of moving, but in that way of detailing it and adding flaws to it and makes it distinctly yours in that sense too. There you go. You see that? You see what I'm doing? I'm slowly shaping it and developing what it is. There you go. You see that? It takes time, but once you learn how to do this, it becomes a very fun and very innovative practice to do in the end. Using a smaller brush to smooth out the details, nonetheless. Just like that. There, you see what I'm doing? I'm trying to make the polygons bigger. In other words, this is known as topology in that sense. The construction of topology is by the act of doing this in the end. So you see how I'm like slowly creating the details like this in the end? It teaches you that when you create these things, there's always options for you to change your topology and changing things in that sense. Since I'm taking more of an indie path or indie game developer or indie animation or creative artist path overall in general, I have more control over what I design and what I change in this art form I do. If it had been more of a game corporation sense or animation corporation like Disney or like Square Enix or Gearbox or id Software, I wouldn't be able to do any of this. I know I wouldn't because of their practices and principles that they use. In my case, this is my own principles that I've skilled and taught myself to do in the end. Everything's a journey. And because everything's a naturalized journey in that sense, you have to understand yourself when creating it, even in the first place as well. And within that principle, it teaches you a lot more things as you grow into it. That's the main point of doing art. It never was supposed to be easy in that sense too. But you can choose to make it easier by handling the hard parts in the end. See how I'm slowly doing it? One step at a time. There you go. You see what I'm doing here? I'm slowly sharpening it up and just controlling how it's being created and rendered nonetheless. There you see. Alright. There you go. Now I'm going to bring the muscle serum more close to where it is. Good to update models one step at a time. There we go. Now we're going to turn back to sculpting. Alright, this is what I'm more or less talking about. cool. This is what I'm talking about. As you can tell, this is more or less my advanced techniques that I technically am using. My own artistic style, nonetheless. And there you go. This is overall what I'm talking about. So, yeah, refining is just today's session that I'm doing. So, look at this, go to these two options here, close it off, and it goes into this kind of mode. Do this here, sticks like that. Well, thank you for viewing my session that I had. Thank you so much, and catch you later. Next episode, I'll talk more about armor sets for like a Halo character or like a Doom guy. So, thank you so much for viewing this. I'll catch you later. This is out. See you later.